Good evening, everyone. We will get started. Mr. Vinod Khosla will be joining sharp at 5:28. So I want to get started with our opening remarks. May I have everyone seated, please? Fred. Let's all have a seat. Reshi, Ganeshji. Let's please all have a seat. Okay, how are you all doing? Can you hear me okay? Am I loud enough? Yes. Okay, very good. Can I hear all the way in the back? This is a remarkable gathering. We set out to organize this about almost a year back, but we didn't know exactly what this was going to look like. In a minute, I'm going to talk about what GSIF, Global Science Innovation Forum is, and what Thrive 2026 is all about. But this has been quite a journey for us, and I think I would love to start by thanking the amazing volunteer team that has pulled this together. Can we do a huge round of applause for all of them? Second, I would love to thank all our sponsors and supporters and partners for making an event of this caliber, this size happen. So thank you for that. And really gratitude to the speakers and contributors. There are no passive participants in this conference. Everybody is contributing. We are putting you to work tomorrow, if you don't know this already. Okay, the output from this conference is going to be 26 white papers, and you will all be contributing to it at different levels, depending on your timelines and your bandwidth. But thank you to all of you for participating in this great exercise. Thank you so much. My name is Anurag Mairal, and I'm a professor at Stanford School of Medicine, and I'm a chair for the GSIF Thrive 2026 conference. But honestly, I'm just a face for all the great work that the programming team, the organizing team, the logistics team, everybody has done. I just stand here to communicate to you what we are trying to accomplish here and kind of engage you all in that. How many of you have been to the website of Global Science Innovation Forum, gsiforum.org? Very good, excellent. I'm going to summarize what Global Science Innovation Forum and Thrive 2026 in particular is about. It is a platform, a community, a gathering to address three vectors. One is that the science, technology, innovation enterprise that we talk about often. Often we talk about it, we think about places like Stanford, places like Palo Alto, right? But actually it's far greater than that. Actually, can we reduce the music? Can you turn down the music? Okay, thank you. It's really a global endeavor. You know, we have people from all continents here today. Can I see show of hands how many of here from either with the origins or flown here from Asia? Show of your hands. How many of you from Australia and New Zealand? There you go. How many of you from Africa? Perfect. How many of you from Latin America, South America? I think there are more. There you go. And how many of you from Europe? Many of you. And of course, North America. A lot of us are from here, so I wouldn't count that. We also have a lot of Consul Generals here who represent their regions. Can I see a show of hands of all the folks that are diplomats from their countries? Just a show of hands. Thank you for the amazing and hard work that you all do. And there is an engagement with all of them post-prandial. I always wanted to use that term, by the way. I got a chance to use it, post-prandial discussion with all the Consul Generals and representative of various nations. So Global Science Innovation Forum really was built on three sort of vectors. One was that our endeavor, science, technology, innovation endeavor is really global. We need to work together globally. Second was that the benefits of what we do together must accrue to everybody in the world. There are 8 billion people, will be 10 billion in no time. And we need to make sure that the work that we do benefits not just privileged few like us, but for everybody that lives on this planet. And then third one is that a lot of work we do has to have context specificity. a lot of work has to represent the aspirations and the societal values and heritage and civilizational context of those places. And those should inform what we do in the future. We're talking about AI in this conference. Well, what does AI become? What kind of AI solutions do we build? What does LLM look like, right? Who gets to own those LLMs? Who gets to have the use cases? All of that as an example. Health is another one, global health, my field. How do we make sure that technologies we develop impact every single person on this earth, right? How do we make sure we keep it sustainable for our future generations, whether it's energy security or pollution or air quality or whatever, right? So those are the three vectors on which this forum was brought together. And Thrive 2026 is really the first iteration, inaugural conference to bring us all together. But it's not really a conference. As I said earlier, it is a working session. And as I mentioned, that we'll have white papers coming out of it. The goal is to work together. And some of you hopefully will continue to work with us in the coming months, years. My hope is everybody is willing to put in the effort that's needed, not just for our generation, but for our kids' generation. Many of us in the room here are professors, many of us are mentors. All of us care about what happens to the future. We want to leave back behind a planet that is good for everybody. And how many of you, and this could be a downer, how many of you think that we are going all in the right direction? Can I see a show of hands? How many think we have some work to do on that? That's what we are here for, to do that work. I have 3 kids, and they are in their 20s and 10s, and I don't want to leave a planet for them that has rife with problems and no solutions, right? If we are capable and smart and resourceful, then we should be able to do this. I'm going to end the session with a quick overview of the agenda, and then I'm going to hand it over to our first Fireside Chat. Here's the agenda for today. So we will have a Fireside Chat about to begin with Vinod Khosla. You all know who he is. It's going to be moderated by Matthieu Soulé. Matthieu will introduce himself, and he'll introduce Vinod, although he needs no introduction. And then we'll start our slow and long dinner, okay? We'll start with salads, but then we'll have the second Fireside Chat that Rangaswami is going to do with Mr. Ram Shriram. Mr. Ram Shriram has been a pretty well-known fixture not only in the Bay Area, but in the world of technology. So it's a really privilege to have him here in person. And the last session, after the entrees are served, we'll be engaging with all of the Consul Generals and consuls that are representing their countries. And what we're trying to do there is really get their perspectives, their viewpoints as to where their countries stand in the perspective of science, technology, innovation. How are they addressing their priorities, their national priorities, but also how are they engaging with the rest of the world, which is part of the reason why they're here, right, in San Francisco. And then we'll have our desserts, and we'll talk about what we'll do tomorrow. As I said, it's a prep for tomorrow. So please roll up your sleeves, get ready for tomorrow, enjoy the meal, enjoy the people around your table. We have mixed you around with a very specific intent of encouraging conversation, okay? Get to know folks next to you. Get their contact information, whatever, and tomorrow we'll work more on the major problems, hairy problems that we deal with. But in the meanwhile, enjoy the wine, enjoy the food. Thank you. May I have Matthieu Soulé to please come up on the stage? Matthieu?
I'm right there.
Oh, there he is. And do we have Vinod Khosla ji already on the call? So let's have his feed. Sorry? He's not on yet? Okay. We may want to check. But in the meantime, I can keep talking. We can have a fireside chat with Matthieu. Let me actually ask folks that are here from different domains. That's the one question I wanted to ask, but I wanted to keep to time. How many of you here are here from technology space? Show of hands. That's a big group, not a surprise given where we are. Within that, how many of you are working on artificial intelligence? Quite a big group as well. How many of you are intersecting with health? Good. This is a very interesting thing. There's a lot of cross-cutting themes in this conference, okay? What we are finding is that health is becoming one of the greatest use cases for artificial intelligence. And lastly, how many of you here, are you here that work in the field of sustainability and energy? There's a sizable group there as well. So this is actually the makeup of the conference. Many of you will be, there are a number of you who are not here today, but you will be here tomorrow. This particular session is being videotaped and streamed, so those folks will probably see this. And similarly, tomorrow's session will also be live streamed and captured. Please alert me as soon as Vinod Khosla ji joins. Yeah, please do let you know. Let me know. I'll talk a little bit about the roundtable discussions as well. How many of you had a chance to see what the roundtables are about? Just a show of hands. How many of you know which roundtables you guys are going to be on? I think many of you do because you're leads. So let me explain what the roundtables are. Although we have a number of folks that are going up on the stage and speaking, like any other conference, we are using those as prompts for the working sessions we are going to do. And that so we tomorrow between 12 and 12:45 is lunch, but after lunch, 12:45 to 1:45 are roundtables, 20 roundtables. And there's some very, very specific topics that you're going to dive deeper into. The goal for those roundtables is to come up with white papers at the end of it. We do have draft versions of those. We have the abstracts. You'll have a chance to see it. We will dive deeper into them during that 1 hour. And by the time we are done, we'll have key takeaways from that, which will be presented after the roundtables are done, 1:45 to 2:30. But in the coming weeks, months, we will actually be putting those out through GSIF website, but also in partnership with any of the centers. There are many centers that are going to be collaborating with us on those papers. So I would love to see engagement from all of you. You're all invited to be co-authors to that. Co-leads and the facilitators of those sessions will take the lead on it. But if you are energized by what you discuss tomorrow, please engage with the team, and we would like to recognize you as a co-author of those. These will become white papers or journal publications or reports, depending on how big they become. But the idea is to create something that we can hand off for the future follow-on work on them. That's really the point of it. Do we have Vinod Khosla? If we don't have him, I think he might be having technology issues. If that's the case, let's why don't we move on to the next part of the agenda, if that's okay? Should we switch with Vinod Khosla's session? We can do afterwards, and we can invite Ram Shriram ji. Are you hearing it? Sorry? Yeah. So is he? No, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to mingle with each other, get to know each other. Wine, do we have wine on the tables? Can we bring? Yeah, I think there are wine bottles on the table. If they are not here, please bring those. Maybe have wines on the table so people can continue to consume those and get to know each other. And in 10 minutes, if we are able to get hold of Vinod Khosla, we'll start that. Okay, thank you.
No, it's later.
Khosla on the call now. Vinodji, namaste. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for making time. I know you have a flight to catch soon.
It's great to be here, talk to everybody.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to quickly introduce your moderator, Matthieu Soulé, who is a partner at a venture capital firm in the Silicon Valley. He'll introduce Mr. Vinod Khosla, and then we'll get started with the session. We are running a little behind, so let's get started.
Okay, so thank you, Anurag, and nice to meet you all. So my name is Matthieu Soulé. I'm one of the partners at Cathay Innovation. We are a large venture capital firm managing 2.5 billion of euros, and I'm based in San Francisco. As you can guess from my accent, I'm originally French, so I'm the pleasure, I would say, today to do the Fireside Chat with Vinod. So maybe as a quick setup, today we'll discuss 3 domains with Vinod. We'll start around AI and its impact on the world. The second domain will be around health, and now health, and also with AI actually, it's changing right now as we are speaking. And the last topic we'll address will be around energy and sustainability, and how we are looking at both existential risk and also like $1 trillion opportunities. So the idea today will be for the Fire Chat to have good ideas for the audience around founders, investors who have a few diplomats in the room, and how we can make it better for the future. So thank you, Vinod, for participating. I guess I will start discussing on AI. Vinod, so on artificial intelligence, you are an investor in OpenAI, Replit, Cognitions, and many others. AI is often framed as a productivity tool, but increasingly we are seeing it as an accelerator in many other areas. AI is also multiplying what we call human minds. I guess you use the terminology with like multiplying human minds, much like the steam engine was multiplying human muscle in the past. So I guess the first question I would have for you, Vinod, it will be today, are we underestimating or overestimating AI right now, and in which domain specifically, what would be the next frontier for you around AI?
Well, we are definitely, I think, as a society, underestimating what AI can do for us. Having said that, and AI is much further along than what is used by most people. So I would say most people today, on average, are using 10% of the capability that is in AI today. So that's sort of a simple sort of answer. We are not using it. What's even more interesting is the rate at which AI is advancing is huge. So my bet, a year from now, we will see AI more different from today than today is from 3 years ago. So we'll see more incremental progress in AI than we've seen in the last 3 years. So not only are we underutilizing it, we are underestimating what the increase in performance will be. And everybody would benefit from getting to know it better and stay at the leading edge.
Okay. And as a follow-up question, maybe Vinod, which industries people think are safe from AI right now that actually could be in deep trouble?
Well, first, how AI is deployed will depend on AI, but it'll also depend on politics. In the American Medical Association, you mentioned help prevent AI from practicing medicine. They will for sure try. Kaiser nurses are on strike today because AI does mental health therapy better than most therapists. And there was just a Nature Medicine paper 2 weeks ago that AI therapy sessions were 75% of AI therapy sessions were rated as if they were done by the top 10% of human therapists. So there will be many forces trying to slow down AI. many incumbents. Having said that, there's hardly an area where AI couldn't have a large impact. Maybe in housing and construction, that's a tough area. Energy is a complex area, but even there, in the slightly longer term, AI will help us design better materials, better fusion, better magnets, lots of different AI science areas. In fact, I'm very excited about the work in plasma fusion control being done with AI. So almost most areas are impacted. Simple services like outsourced services, customer support, business process outsourcing, those things will be gone in 2 or 3 years, literally gone. There are many other areas, and for this audience, I'd say, I suspect over the next 4 years, the most exciting new area will be AI scientists. AI able to do hypotheses, run physical experiments itself, and then analyze the results, and then do a new hypothesis. So iterative science will become much, much better and faster, and it'll leverage the best scientists.
Okay, and maybe as a quick follow-up, if we're looking at AI impact on humanity, what will be the different impacts, how it will differ, I would say, from developed world maybe versus emerging markets? Will you have specific examples?
Well, so it's relatively simple technologically to imagine why every person on the world shouldn't have free primary care. It shouldn't cost more than a couple of dollars per month to have primary care, and that's less than the health budget or even the poorest governments. So everybody on the planet, 7.5 or 8 billion people, can have free primary care. Every child on the planet can have an AI personal tutor for free. Those are benefits that'll be global. Whether you're in the West or the developing world, you're going to see those benefits if politically they're allowed to do it. And then there's many other areas in the developing world where you could have huge help. An AI agronomist available to every small farmer in the less developed countries is a trivially easy thing to imagine. AI legal services for every human being, pretty easy to imagine, and most people never have access to their legal rights, even though technically they have it. Yeah, so at the level of most services, they will be relatively inexpensive and declining in cost and become broadly accessible. There's other areas, of course, entertainment will expand dramatically and get much cheaper. You won't have to rely on Hollywood. And Hollywood is mostly trying to bury its head in the sand like an ostrich as the tsunami comes. So I could talk to any area. The area I haven't mentioned, in the next couple of years, robotics will also have its ChatGPT moment. You'll see essentially all human expertise reduced to, I'll call it $1 an hour or $1 an hour. All human labor through robotics will be $1 an hour, and that'll have the same impact wherever in the world you are.
Thank you. As we are looking at transformative AI companies, and I guess we are sitting right now in the Computer History Museum in Mountain View in Silicon Valley, do you think these most transformative AI companies will be built here in Silicon Valley, or maybe somewhere sometimes closer to the unmet needs where actually it could have a bigger impact?
I think there will be companies built everywhere. But Silicon Valley has a culture, and it has nothing to do with the place it is the culture it engenders where people tend to think more ambitiously and hence build more ambitious companies. I like to say most people are limited not by what they can do, but by what they think they can do. And Silicon Valley encourages you to think bigger and bolder and better, and that's very exciting. So a disproportionate number of large companies will be built in Silicon Valley, but there will be exciting companies in every part of the world.
Okay, so thank you, Vinod, for the AI section. We are moving now to the global healthcare. So global healthcare historically is estimated to be like a 10 trillion system globally, but it's mostly concentrated in a few countries. Maybe the first question regarding AI and the impact actually on healthcare, do you think actually it will be deflationary potential of a few $100 billion on that? And I think you wrote in 2012 that AI would replace 80% of what doctors do. Where do you think we are standing right now on primary care to mental health? Could you help us to figure out like how healthcare is changing right now thanks to AI?
Well, what I wrote in 2012, I think I was too conservative. 80% is too low a number, and in 2016, I wrote a 100-page document called 20% Doctor Included, and that was by 2040. And today, I would say 10% Doctor Included by 2030. So I was wrong on two fronts. And we have just submitted a paper to JAMA, and I won't go into the details, the Journal of the American Medical Association, suggesting that AI doctors already are superior to human doctors. Let's see if it gets accepted. Most of your audience probably knows the process of acceptance. But that's where we are today. In mental health, as I just mentioned, there was a paper in Nature Medicine about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we essentially proved that AI doing mental health therapy sessions are superior in almost all respects to human therapists doing mental health therapy. I would say the following. In this particular paper, AI therapy sessions and human therapy sessions were judged by human AI therapists. And the human AI therapists classified 75% of the mental AI therapy sessions done by an AI therapist as at the level of quality of the top 10% of human therapists. So everybody can get top 10% quality of therapy in mental health. So that's just the peer provision. Today we have AI oncologists in process, AI physical therapists in process, AI, you name it, AI primary care in process. And we are seeing concordance between AI therapists and human therapists at 97%. Even the interhuman concordance doesn't get that high. So these are examples of the way therapy should be judged. How is it relative to human performance? That'll be true in most areas. AI will be superior to the median therapist, the median doctor, the median oncologist, the median gastroenterologist. So that is definitely true. AI's ability to do so. Healthcare has 4 major categories. It's provision of labor services, like an oncologist. That's a quarter of the spend, in the US at least. A quarter of the spend is drugs. The number of drugs will explode. AI-designed drugs will have lower failure rates, so easier to design, And we'll see many more of them get through FDA trials successfully. So we'll see all that. We'll see drugs designed for one patient. So every cancer we know is different. You could design a drug for one patient with AI. You wouldn't even have to run a trial because you don't only have a population of one. Another quarter of the spend is imaging and testing, and that's going to be impacted by AI. Of course, AI radiologists are much far superior to humans. So let me stop there. I can keep going.
Yeah, sure. Maybe one or two examples, if you want illustration, where are the biggest opportunity, according to you, for underserved population? Do you have one or two examples of for underserved population? How does it change?
Well, very much. I was in India recently, and I proposed to the Prime Minister that we can develop an AI doctor available 24/7 to every Indian. And the poor Indians, especially in the villages, to see a doctor may have to travel a day or two. If they're not seen the same day, they'll probably sleep in the corridors in the hospital till somebody can see them. So there's a real shortage. That's probably the most interesting example. In mental health therapy, which I mentioned, we looked at equity and inclusion in AI therapist sessions. It increased dramatically, and the more marginalized the community, the better the inclusion was. So for transgender communities, inclusion went up by 150% for mental health therapy.
Okay. Maybe if we're looking against comparing different markets, does innovation for this market could be built locally, or can it be in some ways exported for one country or one region to another?
It's pretty easy to export it from one region to another. The general models being developed are good enough, and in fact, the best models are likely to be either Western models. Of course, China has its own situation, and they will do well. But give you an example of what we are doing in a country like India. We are doing non-profit provision of primary care and using the best Western models like GPT-5 and combining them with local Indian models that specialize in local languages, local accents, local voice conversations. There's 13 different scripts in India. We'll be providing primary care services in all regional scripts.
Okay. And last question, I think you were talking about it for India, but if you are today redesigning the healthcare system for a country like India or Vietnam, for example, what would be your priority? You mentioned the AI doctor like 24/7. Will you be other like priorities for you?
I think that's the clear first priority. All services are essentially free, and that can be done in a small fraction of even a poor country's current healthcare budget. Whether you're talking about India, Vietnam, or Malawi, it can be done for a fraction of that budget that they spend today on healthcare, and it will reduce serious disease downstream because primary care and disease management and early intervention will cause escalations to go down and reduce total healthcare spending. So that's obviously one.
Okay. Maybe moving to energy challenges and climates. You've been investing in the space for a long time. So what are we still getting wrong, I would say, in climate innovation?
AI has had very limited impact on climate. But if AI can help control plasma fusion, or the plasma and plasma fusion, and we make fusion viable, which I am extremely optimistic about, that in the next 2 years, people won't be talking about what is the source of energy on this planet, and AI will help get us there. There's, of course, better magnets to be designed, better control systems. AI can help with all of that. So there's that. Then there's better materials. Maybe one of my favorite projects is AI-based public transit. We are introducing AI-based public transit. What happens in public transit? And you're in the Bay Area. BART, which is the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, has a sales tax increase on the ballot. And if they don't get the increase, if it gets voted down, they will reduce service. A much better system, because BART's a very large train. And 90% of the time, it is half empty or more. Only during peak travel hours is it full. So the average carbon emissions of even electric systems is actually pretty bad when you compute total passenger miles in grams of emission from the electric grid per passenger mile. We have a system where autonomous vehicles run on these tracks. Their carbon emissions are much lower. The service is much better because with small autonomous individual vehicles, you can do it point to point. And it's, of course, much safer and cleaner. So public transit is another area. I could go on and on.
Yeah, I guess, just following on that, like discussing about specific magic bullets in energy, I think you mentioned or used the term in the past regarding Chindia. So which emerging technologies, according to you, has the best chance to reaching Chindia price threshold? And maybe you could define what is Chindia, I guess.
So I defined in 2010 a price I called the Chindia price. The price at which India and China will absolutely adapt these technologies because they're cheaper than their fossil alternatives. That's the way to do sustainability. Today, so even though India is adapting a lot of solar and China is, they're still building more coal plants than solar plants. And so they're getting to the cheapest source of power, not the greenest source of power, because green is the luxury in most parts of the world, not in the West. But if we can make fusion power, and my other favorite for power generation is super hot geothermal. That means geothermal above supercritical steam temperatures, so 400 degrees and above geothermal. As far as I know, there's no commercial projects except what we are attempting anywhere in the world. There's some research efforts for supercritical steam, but a supercritical well will get 10 times the power per well that a 200 degrees centigrade well will generate for the same amount of water flow. So we need to get there. That's true in many other things. I mentioned power. But today, I believe we have steel technology for production of steel that is cheaper than a new plant being built with coal-based steel. So I think we've reached economic parity with old-style new plant construction, and the green comes for free in steel. And it's not electric steel and some of the nonsensical stuff we see. The same is true in cement. We take carbon emissions from existing carbon plants, turn them into more cement. So with no more limestone input into a cement plant, you reduce emissions and the plant output goes up. So cement, in the cost per ton of cement, is cheaper than regular cement. So in a number of these critical areas, we've achieved that. I think electric cars have achieved parity, especially with the new price of oil. So jet aviation is the one area where there's no easy solutions, and expensive new solutions would require putting all the old plants out of business. So take trillions of dollars of airplanes and obsolete them. That's not viable. And too often in sustainability, we look at the best sustainability technology. That's the wrong way to look at it. My general view is we should strive for the cheapest technology to also be the most sustainable. And that's achievable if we put our mind to it and take somewhat higher technical risk, like our fusion efforts were. So I do think there's a lot of areas that progress can be made.
Yeah. Maybe one last question on the climate one before the closing remarks. What would be the climate idea that most investors here like will reject right now, but you think could be a $1 trillion outcome?
I just gave you 4 of them.
Yeah.
AI-based public transit, fusion, super hot geothermal, low emission steel, and low emission cement. Those 5 or 6 things are among only a dozen things that matter. Too many people work on the wrong sustainability problems. I would venture to guess 90% of the plans I see in sustainability are irrelevant to sustainability or low emission climate change, even if they are successful. The 10% that matter are only about a dozen technologies that I defined about 3 years ago when I wrote a blog on the 12 critical technologies in climate that matter, and most of the things don't matter.
Okay. So for last question for you, Vinod, for people in this room that are thinking, I would say, globally and not just locally, what should they stop doing immediately? What should they start doing tomorrow morning? And at the end, like, what excites you most nowadays?
Well, I would say to people, there isn't a magic bullet you should stop doing tomorrow, but staying at the forefront of AI. And AI is a scary technology. AI has the popularity today outside of the Bay Area of same as ice. That's about the popularity. People are afraid of AI and job displacement with AI. And there's 2 classes of people, those who say, don't worry, it won't happen. And then those who lie about it and say it'll be slow. My view, everybody should be at the forefront of technology. There's scientists in your audience. I just saw a case of somebody doing MECFS research. They had graduate students doing analysis for 2 years on data they had generated in the lab. On one weekend, the researcher replicated all of the results, years of graduate student work with AI, using an AI scientist kind of approach, and then generated some new insights that graduate students hadn't found from the same data. So stay ahead on the AI front. The second thing I would say is people like to work on projects that are successful or likely to be successful. I like to say not all hard problems are valuable, but most valuable problems are very hard. And people should work on hard problems because they result in large breakthroughs that actually solve real societal problems. I think that the risk of failure avoids us working on the bolder, bigger problems and looking for bolder, higher risk solutions. Fusion is a good example. When we started Commonwealth Fusion in 2018, every single person told me, without exception, including the Department of Energy, it was a really bad idea. Now there's a dozen reasonable fusion startups because we set a good role model. And I'm glad there's a dozen, because the chances that they all fail, I think, starts to approach low single-digit percentages. And I don't think 5 years from now we'll be debating what's the source of energy. And we won't even be talking about nuclear or natural gas or coal.
So I guess thank you a lot, Vinod, for your time in the Fire Chat tonight. And I will ask the audience to give a round of applause for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. We probably could have taken a couple of questions, but I think Vinod has dropped off. Thank you, really appreciate it. Can we do a huge round of applause for Matthieu? What a remarkable, it's not just the accent, it's also the substance of the questions that was really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we're gonna take a little bit of a pause. The salads will be served. Please, appetize your appetites. We will start 6:30 sharp with the Fireside Chat with Mr. Ram Shriram, moderated by M.R. Rangaswami. We'll make sure that there's no dinner disruptions during the time that they're speaking. But thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
exciting when we get on with our second session, an exciting fireside chat that's coming up. You heard Vinod Khosla in conversation with Matthieu Soulé, where I still remember when Vinod actually had talked about doctors becoming obsolete. This was a few years back, and I'm in healthcare, so that was a pretty provocative comment that he had made. And Vinod has actually invested in those kind of things, and that's been his belief, and it's really created a wonderful sort of environment of that. But I think a greatest example of disruptive technology that has really created a large-scale impact is in Google, what Google has created. And what the gentleman we have here today in Fireside Chat with MR Rangaswamy is a founding Google board member, and MR is going to introduce him after he introduces himself. But it's just a privilege to have him. So I'm going to invite both the gentlemen here. So let me invite Ram Shriram and MR Rangaswamy. Let's welcome them with a huge round of applause.
Up to you. Thank you.
I'll let MR introduce Ram. Again, Ram needs no introduction. But how many of you are familiar with MR's work with Indiaspora? Can I see a show of hands? So those of you who are familiar with his work know what an amazing initiative that he has built. And in many ways, we are hoping that we learn from his experience in building a science, technology, innovation community in the form of GSIF. So hopefully we'll have intersections with his initiative. MR, it's all yours.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. We had one great presentation earlier that really talked more about solutions and what is possible. I think today we're going to talk more about core research and things that follow from academia to the private sector and so on and so forth. With me, I have Ram Shriram. Ram and I went to the same school, high school. And Don Bosco in Chennai, for those of you who know that school. But also, we came here to the United States the same year, 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
So this is our 50th anniversary of being in the US and being US citizens. So great to be here. Ram came at the same time. We both studied in the US. Then of course, somehow he found his way to Silicon Valley. I found my way to Silicon Valley, and the rest is history. So Ram worked at different tech companies, including a small company called Netscape, if I remember. That's when I met you. Little bitty company at that time, which did big things and spawned the internet revolution in a way that we've never imagined before. And then he and I got together again because we were with the company. I was an advisor to a company called Junglee, and Ram was running the company at that time. And so really had, serious interactions with him throughout his career and my career. So, and then of course, Ram was a very early investor in Google, and we're going to talk into what some of that, why he invested in it, what they did that was core fundamental research, and so on and so forth. And then we'll come to also his work at Stanford. He was, on the Stanford board, doing so much of important work at the board level as well. So we'll cover a lot of that as it pertains to core research, how innovation happens, and so forth. I know a lot of you are scientists, so we'll focus more on that part, and also a lot of consuls general, so welcome to all of you as well. So Ram, starting with this, let's start with Google, right? You meet the two founders of Google. What gets you excited about the company, and why did you invest?
First of all, thank you for having me here tonight, and I look forward to this conversation. So Google was a very contrarian investment, if you will, because nobody wanted to invest in the company. There were 6 search engines in 1998. We can list all of them. All of them are dead.
Lycos,
InfoSeek, Inktomi, Yahoo, Excite at Home, Alta Vista, and Ask Jeeves, actually 7.
Yeah.
So there were 7 companies in 1998. So every VC we went and talked to said no. So we had to self-finance the business in the beginning, but we also were questioning the belief of whether we were doing the right thing. And so there was a period in the first year, year and a half, where it felt like this could maybe not succeed. But it turns out that if you invest in foundational technologies that are completely changing, in this case, the change was PageRank was so brutally efficient compared to what existed at that time, which is the links on the web are only as important as two things: the number of links pointing to that, in other words, number of people who are linking to you, and then a reputational index, which is based on the reputation of the people that are linking to you. So those two things determine the quality of the results. And so that made all the difference as to why people started using that versus the 7 other choices. Because in the end, people are going to migrate towards choices that give them better outcomes, better results, better information. And so that's how the company got built.
Phenomenal story on that. And fast forwarding, I mean, the thing today that makes Google still successful is focus on research. That sets it apart from many other companies in Silicon Valley. So talk us through how Google views core research, fundamental research. As you and I talked about, IBM had its labs, right? AT&T had its labs, and different Xerox had its different labs. But what set Google apart in that field?
So to go back to the beginning of when the whole AI effort started at Google, so 2011, Larry Page was the CEO, and he said, I want to focus on this. He has a remarkable ability, along with his co-founder Sergey, to be able to look around corners and think about where the future is heading. So he saw it early, and to his credit, he built a team internally that was already very much a technology engineering focused company, because we had very little marketing. Even to this day, Google doesn't do as much marketing as, say, some other companies do in the space or outside the space. So his focus was on getting the best engineering talent possible. So as he said back then, he said, look, we don't have all the people who are best at AI inside the company, so let me go figure out which ones to buy. So that led us to DeepMind, which was an acquisition that the company made in 2014, well before anybody was talking about AI. DeepMind at the time had 600 people, of which 400 were PhDs. Google had another 600 PhDs at the time, so they were a total of 1,000 research scientists in the company. And so this balance between doing primary research and then focusing on taking that to deployment is a fine balance. Sometimes we overcorrect in one direction or another, but in the end it sort of worked out, because we don't really want to tell the researchers that you have to innovate by this date, because you cannot legislate innovation. Instead, you let them do this thing on their own time, which is whether it's AGI, reasoning, figuring out quantum chemistry, figuring out structural biology, which is what AlphaFold is. All these things happen naturally if you let them pursue it. But then from the research scientist, it goes to applied engineering, which is an entirely different set of people who are called AI engineers as opposed to AI researchers, whose job it is to take that innovation and then productize it. So some of them succeed, some of them don't. So even if 10% of them succeed and 1% of them become a very large success, you've more than paid for all the research that you've done. So that's the model that works. In a way, we've learned from IBM Research, Bell Labs, and of course, Xerox PARC, where if you just pursue only research without a commercial outcome, you can't continue to fund the research.
And so when DeepMind, Google first bought it, it was just a research company, or did they have products?
Well, he was focused on AGI.
Right.
And to his credit, he had the highest concentration of talent because literally there was nobody else. And the Transformer paper, however, was published by the original Google Brain Group, which was run by Jeff Dean. And so like a university, we were publishing all of this, open sourcing everything. And so when OpenAI later built their first GPT-2, it was built on the Transformer model, which was released in 2017. But we didn't actually want to productize it because we were worried about safety at the time.
Got it, got it. So really, Google was at the heart of every LLM there is today, in a sense, the idea, right?
Both the idea and every company that was born since then, we're all, like Anthropic is people who were Google employees, OpenAI is full of them, every other company pretty much. So despite the fact that there's been so much talent that's gone off to start these new companies, Google still has a large core talent group because at the beginning of this whole process, they had 90% of the talent. So even if you lose 50%, you still have a larger talent pool than all the other companies combined.
So a couple of things to follow up on this. You know, the whole concept of DeepSeek, for example, it's supposedly open source, right? But what is Google's take and your take on open source versus closed products?
So most of the US companies, let's say there are now 3 large LLM players. There's Google Gemini, there's OpenAI, and then there's Anthropic. And maybe the 4th is Meta, namely Facebook. For any others who are attempting to be contenders in this, it's going to be tough because the amount of money it takes to train, both pre-training and post-training, and then continually improving the quality of these models, it's a very expensive game. So those are all closed systems. What the Chinese have done is they have distilled from the US models using the APIs on top of these models. And so they've essentially not had to spend the same amount of money. And so they have trained a set of distilled products, if you will, which then they have open sourced to the rest of the world. And to the extent that they are late to the race, it's a little bit like Apple has iOS and then Google came out with Android and open sourced Android. So China is playing the open source game, whereas all the US systems are closed. But that's where most of the frontier models and the innovation is taking place on the US models, I would say.
Got it. So any thoughts on who could win, or is this something?
So the rest of the world is using the Chinese models because they're free. They're open source and open weights. And because they're free, they're using them. There is a lot of risk in that because some of the data is going to go back and feed into those systems, then who knows what purposes they could be used for. So if you're a US bank or a European security company, you would not want to be necessarily using an open source model. You'd want to use a closed source model. So therefore, it varies depending on which part of the world. But in much of Asia, for example, or in other parts of the world where they don't really care about whether it's open source and insecure or closed and secure, they would still choose to use the open source.
So people who just look for an inexpensive solution would probably gravitate to that.
Correct. That said, they could start to now develop primary closed models based on the distilled open source models in the future. To some degree, it depends on where China decides to invest. But they're deciding this at the country level, whereas here there are independent companies who are deciding these things.
Got it. The other chatter that we've seen a lot is about token maxing, and is it a good productivity tool, so on and so forth. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so this token maxing trend is relatively new. I think some companies have chosen to tell their employees, this is a great way to be productive in AI, and therefore lot of tasks could be automated using, if you use the prompt on, say, any one of these systems, the more complex the prompt, the longer the prompt. The prompt lengths vary. Typically, it's one word is 1.3 tokens. Say 750 words is about 1,000 tokens. So you can begin to see how these tokens are. In fact, tokens are like an asset class. They could be traded based on compute. They could be traded like soybean or corn or whatever in the future, because this is now a commodity. Of course, a scarce commodity today, and so the price of compute is actually going up before it will eventually come down, because there's so much investment going into data centers that eventually it'll come down. But so these companies that are focused on trying to incent their employees on token maxing, I think is somewhat misguided, because the Uber CTO just said the other day, he spent his entire full year AI budget in 3 months, and he doesn't know what he got for it. Because employees are going to game it so that they could put these complex prompts in, but not necessarily solve for more efficient tasks, so that it looks like they're working hard, right?
Because some companies had leaderboards with how many tokens everybody's using.
But now they're sort of understanding that that may not be the right incentive structure, and they're moving back from it. It also is very expensive to do it that way.
So within Google, to stay with that for a moment, how does Google decide on a new research project? How does that get justified? Because there's no application yet for something new, right?
Yeah, I think the research projects have to be sort of contiguous to areas that we're already in. So if there are, say, 3 or 4 research teams that are focused on the core areas, which is reasoning, post-training, which is expensive, focused on the business of what we call challenges, which are either on quantum, on chemistry, which is where, say, Demis is focused on coming up with AlphaFold, which is a protein model, but then he wants to do one for peptides and so on. So the whole world of chemistry and biology coming together there. So those are challenges inside. So there are small teams that focus on those challenges. So think of them as challenge grants at a university level. So similar model there. But the core areas and reasoning are all one big, large team that is then broken down into its subparts, and then they work on those.
So to touch on, some of the people here are also very interested in healthcare. So you kind of talked about the proteins and all that stuff. So where is Google headed to in that space, separate from, artificial intelligence? Are you looking at healthcare?
I think in the healthcare space, what this company called, what is it called?
Isomorphic.
I'm drawing, isomorphic, thank you.
Yeah.
Isomorphic is focused on 2 things. One, licensing the core model, and there are today 2 or 3 licensees. I think Eli Lilly, Novartis, I can't remember the third company, maybe Sanofi or someone in Europe. So those are licensees, and they're using it for drug discovery and therapeutics. So essentially, AI can compress the time it takes to get to new therapeutics and new drugs. Today, that's a hits business where 1 out of 100,000 succeed, and most of these large pharmaceutical companies waste a lot of money going through phase 1 up to phase 2, and then something doesn't work, and they write off $1 billion. With AI, this whole process could be compressed, and the number of hits you get to can be much higher, and so the cost to produce the new drugs is much lower. So this model allows you to use it as a base on which you can build your drug discovery platform. So, he's wanting to do this collaboratively with pharmaceutical companies. Separately, there are going to be some core areas where there could be primary research in terms of new drugs or new delivery mechanisms using data from across the world.
Terrific. Let's move to your stint at Stanford. right? So Silicon Valley, one of the things is known for is that partnership between universities, core research, and startups, right? So how did Stanford kind of build that model around doing core research through their academics, and how has that resulted in so many startups coming out with Stanford research and IP into the market?
Yeah, I think Stanford has a long history of doing this. If you go back to even the birth of Netscape, with Jim Clark, who was a Stanford professor, and he had already started Silicon Graphics, and then he went back to teach. So it's like a revolving door. Everyone is given a 2-year period of time where they could take a leave of absence from Stanford and then go back and teach if they'd like to. And that's sometimes even extendable based on how successful they've been. The other reason Stanford is very good at this, and now other universities, Berkeley is good, several others, MIT is very good, Carnegie Mellon has gotten good. It's also based on making the licensing of the technology out of the university very simple. So they're not trying to extract a pound of flesh when these young companies have almost no money. So when Google spun out and we negotiated the technology transfer, we said we don't have any money because we had difficulty raising money. So we said we could give you 2% of the company. They said, fine, take it, but we won't give you a perpetual non-exclusive, we'll give you a perpetual license, but we'll give you a non-exclusive license. And so if somebody else came in and asked for it, we might give them a license too. So it was ultimately up to you to succeed in building a company where even if someone else licensed it, it wouldn't matter because you've taken the derivative technology so far ahead. So that's how they did it. Contrast that to Netscape, when we went and tried to license this with University of Illinois back in the 90s, they wanted us to give them cash. And we didn't have, Jim Clark didn't have cash. So we had to not only extract the people that built it and then reverse engineer it and build the browser again from scratch. We also had to change the name of the company. It used to be called Mosaic. Right. We had to change it to Netscape. So that, and then the University of Illinois basically didn't benefit, whereas Stanford with the 2% made $400 million. They had to sell it all on the day after the IPO, whatever the rules are for the universities. So if they had held it today, it would be worth $20 billion.
But, and Netscape, on the other hand, the University of Illinois didn't make any money.
No, they didn't make any money because
and
lost 6 students who were the founding team of Netscape, all of whom were hired from Larry Smarr's supercomputer lab.
Yeah.
Of course, the most famous of them was Mark Andreessen.
Yeah. So I guess Silicon Valley is ahead of the game in terms of business models and letting research flow freer into the marketplace.
Yeah, so it's a revolving door. I think research is the foundation for all these new ideas. These new ideas, the bold bets, all the bets get funded. In fact, in high tide, like we are in now, we are in high tide right now. So every idea gets funded. The most interesting thing I read about was Allbirds, which basically died as a company, was sold for $39 million. And then they restarted themselves as a AI chip company, and the stock is up 200%. This is a bubble. It smells and acts like a bubble. However, at the same time, lots of good companies are getting funded as well. And so out of this will come a lot of big new startups that become really foundational companies in this next wave. And there will also be a lot of ones that fail and people will lose money on them.
So you're a pretty savvy investor and you have a really great vantage point. Any 1 or 2 companies that you've invested in that you have high hopes for?
Well, I was just mentioning to somebody, so in this area of benchmarking for AI, a professor and a bunch of students out of Berkeley created the standard called LM Arena or LM-SIS. To this day, it is the gospel within AI. Every company that does a new model even if they're not in the core LLM space, even if they're in a peripheral space, have to take their model to LM-SIS, and then they publish the benchmark across many things, like how are they doing at math, how are they doing in coding, how are they doing in terms of output, token output, how are they doing in the cost per token, etc. So all these things are published in a benchmark. And so that has become the sort of standard benchmark across the industry, much like the metric system is, that we don't question the metric system. That has become the benchmark. So that's an example of a company that's not competing for huge dollars to build the next big LLM, but is actually helping everybody level set across one measuring, one metric of measurement.
Interesting. So let's open up the floor to questions. Any questions for Ram? Yes, sir.
There are microphones going around in the hall. Please raise.
Oh, there's a question over there.
Right here. One right here.
Back there. Yeah. And then one over there next. Yeah.
So looking at all this bills of software developers going around and all that, wouldn't that really say that we are back into that workstation era where every developer will probably get a local workstation that can run all these models locally, and we won't waste the tokens everywhere?
Oh, for sure. I think eventually you could run these models on your workstation. In fact, you could today run it. Today you could do it on a Mac even, because it turns out that the M4 is somewhat of a graphics processor, much less powerful than the Blackwell GPUs, but certainly you could run it on a Mac, and some people are running it on that. It's just a little slower than if you would run it in the cloud with lots and lots of
Yeah, but with NVIDIA's new GPUs, the PCs coming, what's the future of the cloud? Us doing all of this in cloud. That's what I'm curious about.
Okay. Well, I think the trend, I mean, you remember we started with mainframes, then we went to workstations and distributed computing. Now we've gone back to kind of the cloud is a similar metaphor to the mainframe era in that way, because it's now centralized and then you're able to buy a unit of compute. But if you are a business and you don't want to invest in lots and lots of expensive local gear and have very high uptime, then the solution is still the cloud, because storage is relatively free and bandwidth is increasingly becoming not an expensive item. So really the most expensive thing today is compute. So to the extent that compute starts to go down in cost, then you're truly liberated, and it can happen on the edge or in the cloud, either way. So it really depends on the business and how they want to spend their money at that point.
Question over here. Oh, no.
There we go. Yes, it's Fiona Bannister. Thank you so much. Nice to see you, Ram. And it's really important for me in the work that I've done, and I present it back to people, in that we competed in the X Prize competition for rainforest conservation. So we had 54 drones. We had over 100 different scientists working on measuring and monitoring for biodiversity, but we also looked at food and food security. We looked at water and microbiomes, gut biomes. We looked at all different aspects of collaboration, including the shamans, the Indian tribal communities, the groups that worked from multiculturalism. So why I'm bringing this up is because from the sense of where you sit, both of you, it's a question for both of you, really. How do we empower and impact the lives of everybody in the world? Because that select few, I worked with MIT, with Michigan State, Cornell. We didn't work with Stanford. We should have, but we will. But the core was that we needed supercompute to process all the data. Even the jaguars running through our rainforest, we were able to capture the or reunification of them coming back onto deserted land that we had reforested and rebuilt. So how do we collaboratively use AI for the greater good to feed humanity and support that together? Thank you.
I think really focusing on the diffusion of AI and stuff.
Yeah, so I think the diffusion of AI will have huge productivity benefits for the world. And yes, I think there is this vision which will take time to, first there will be pain before that vision becomes reality, which is that people will have to work less. The productivity improvements will be so good that you could have a 4-day work week or 3-day work week. Of course, because the productivity improvements are so good, that there would be enough money in the economy to distribute more broadly. So you're talking about the benefits of AI going to different parts of the world. So there is this vision, and of course, today it's still early where most of the benefits that have been seen are being seen in the developed world. But I think this recent AI event in India is an example which brought together all the developing countries, is an example of the power of data to make things easy and simple. So think about healthcare. Remote healthcare is now possible, where previously there was no healthcare possible. Think about education. We always think of education as going out and getting a formal degree. Well, a lot of this education now can happen on your device through AI. So AI is reimagining what education will be in the future. It won't be what we learned or the traditional methods of how we learned things. And so knowledge is going to be free and democratized and widely available. Some of it happened with the internet, but the pace of how that will happen with AI, because it will now adapt to each user based on their feedback to a particular question. So it's adaptive learning so it's customized for each user as opposed to broad-based education. So if you are an advanced student, you can learn faster. If you are lagging behind, you don't feel intimidated. You're learning in your own comfort zone, as an example.
Yeah, and to add to that, I was at the AI summit in India, and I see India playing a key role in all this because India has 1 billion people on the identity system. It has hundreds of millions of transactions, on the UPI system. So I think India can play a key role where they take an AI layer, put it on top of that, and make it inexpensive and be the gateway to the global south. Because the global south needs all these services, citizenship services, AI services, but India can be the template of making it inexpensive, and 1 billion people in India already use cell phones, so all that model is sorted out. We just got to add that AI layer over the next few years and make that available to everyone. So we'll take one or two more. I don't know, Anurag, you tell us. 2 more. So I have Asha up here,
Yes.
and then 1 more back there.
Yes,
So,
I have Richard Putnick, Honorary Czech Consul General.
yes, hello.
Ram, thank you for your clarity. It's refreshing. You really have a gift. Since 90% of all startups fail, that strikes me that's a great waste of funds, money. It's gambling. How, in your view, I could ask AI, what are the reasons that, the top 3 reasons in your view that startups fail, and how could that be minimized because all that money that has gone nowhere? Thank you.
That's a very good question. I think even now in this age of AI, what I'm noticing is lots of companies are getting funded in highly concentrated spaces. They all feel like they're copying each other and doing the same thing, and yet they're all getting funded. Some of those spaces can support multiple companies, but some of them may not. So why are people funding it? I think there's a lot of money going into this. Globally, at the moment, the number is close to $3.5 trillion going into AI. In fact, the US GDP is probably held up this year. A large portion of that growth is funded because is seen in the number because of the investment in data centers and employment from it, and also contiguous areas like energy and so on, where these investments are happening because of AI. So whether the waste can be stopped in terms of all these companies that ultimately end up failing, I think that's going to take some time, because as long as there is this instinct for greed drives venture. And so you want that, because they're therefore both wasting money but also taking bold bets. So that's a good thing. Now, of course, if they lose enough money, then they will disappear as a firm that's successful, right? So the system, the marketplace, has a way of weeding this out naturally. However, there's going to be waste in this process. Whether AI can start to make this brutally efficient, I think it can over a period of time, but that may be one of the innovations that happens later rather than earlier. Yeah. Just because of the nature of greed that's causing more and more money to come into the space. In fact, there's now so much money that some bad ideas are getting funded.
One last question here, Asha, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So
thank you for those inspiring comments and the wonderful future you have outlined through AI. You know, as a former ambassador and diplomat, I feel very, very restless and disturbed about the happenings which have taken place in the last 2 months. Living in these dangerous times and with all the geopolitical silos, AI could fall into rogue hands, rogue entities. And we've just seen the tip of the iceberg. What recommendations do you have for AI safeguards and guardrails? Because I don't think we can postpone this just because of commercial ends. AI companies ought to also develop international standards, and we do need a multilateral body which kind of, supervises and mentors this transition which our civilization is headed for, because otherwise we are on a point of self-destruct. Thank you.
So it's a very good question as well. So there are 2 levels of challenges with safety. First of all, the space is moving at a blinding speed. Literally day to day, there's so much additional innovation happening that any policy that is developed in an ivory tower won't be able to keep up with what's happening on the ground, because it's that rapid, the scale of innovation. In fact, faster than what I saw in the 1990s with the internet when it first came out. So this is much faster because all the edge systems, everything is fully provisioned, everything is fully available on the network at very high speeds. So people are living in sort of the future already. So there's no way to stop that pace of innovation. And then at the national level, there's not been a proper focus on regulation today, because they've basically said, let it be a free-for-all for the moment. However, today the large LLM players, which is where the safety issues largely exist, are self-regulating to the extent that they have good value systems, they have an ethics and internal team that cares about this for safety. Some of them have hired philosophers. There's something called machine consciousness, which is how can a machine act like a sentient, and when it goes sentient, it means it's sort of thinking on its own like a human being. How do you make sure it doesn't go rogue, as you said? So those things need to be controlled by humans, and so we don't want the machines to take over. So some of these companies have focused on this, and to this day, I think they've been somewhat careful. However, there's always the risk that it could happen at any time. For example, the recent release of Mythos, the newest model from Anthropic, they were very worried about the security risks, because when they released it internally, they realized that it helps both find bugs that have existed in security systems for 30 plus years. So those would be good to give to those security companies to say, go fix those bugs so that we can at least make sure it's safe. But at the same time, the bad actors, if they had access to it, they could use that to, say, steal money or create a cyber attack on the public utilities or the water systems or whatever they choose to do. So it could help the good people and the bad people. So therefore, they chose not to release it, which was a huge commercial decision at the same time. But that's the kind of decision a company has to make, knowing the risk to society when they release a model that they think can potentially bring harm to the community, to the population as a whole.
Great.
And ultimately, the answer is there has to be policy, but any policy today would already be obsolete the next day because of the pace of innovation.
Great. I think I'm told we're out of time. So, Ram, we could have gone on for another hour, but dinner is in the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is one advantage of having an in-person dialogue, because we could take a number of questions, and I agree with Amar. I think we could have gone on. And I loved clear-headed, sort of very wise and sort of thoughtful answers to the questions. There are a couple of things I wanted to comment on that we heard from Ram and Amar today, just now. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and the kind of problems I deal with in my research at Stanford is really focuses on global health, which is healthcare for the underserved. There are 8 billion people, there are 5 billion who do not have meaningful access to healthcare. And I believe that the kinds of technologies that Google is working on, that Anthropic is working on, could actually dramatically alter the landscape of healthcare. And so that's the positive side of it. We do have to worry about the biases and kind of the distortions and inequities that could result from control of technology or access to technology, and that's something that we should be discussing. The other thing that actually Amar and Ram especially talked about was the civilizational context. I mean, he talked about sentience. What does sentience mean, right? Actually, there is a lot of philosophical work that has happened in history of humanity that should actually inform what our technologies of the future can become. So in many ways, the discussion we're going to have today as well as tomorrow, the working sessions we're going to have, the website that you've seen, it actually speaks to exact same point. If we are not centering our technologies in humanity, if you're not centering it in civilizational values, if you're not centering it in the historical sort of knowledge that we have built, the wisdom that we have built, I think we're going to create a society that is only machines with disconnect from human emotion, human values, and humanity, basically. So that's really the point of some of the stuff that I heard towards the end. And I'll add a personal note. Very fortunate to have an office in a building that was supported by Jim Clark. So Clark Center is where my office is, and happy to have students and collaborators in the building that Ram has funded in the biomedical engineering. So personally, thank you, Ram, for supporting and the work that you have done. Another round of applause for. You all have been great troopers, great conversation. I've seen you all mingle around, get to know each other, ask great questions. Dinner is on its way. It's going to get distributed. It's going to get served. And we will start at 7:45 time frame, around 7:45, 8. We'll start the session focused on Consul Generals. These are men and women who are representing their countries. They are not only ambassadors for their nation, but they're also collaborators in chief in many ways. They are here in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco Bay Area, and they are sort of engaged. I was so happy. We have 22 countries that are going to get represented today and tomorrow. And I really want to thank all of the consuls general here for engaging in this manner. I had not expected this kind of a response. So thank you so much. With that, enjoy. I'll be back. Thank you. I come with a piece of news and, sort of an announcement to get started with our session. Piece of news is that the bar is going to close at 8. So, so if you already have enough bottles on your table, that's great. I think we should put more bottles on here, if that's okay. Even if the bar closes at 8, we'll have enough for us to linger on. Second is we are about to start a very interesting session. This session will focus on, and if we could get the slide for that, this session will focus on the global footprint of this conference. It's going to bring together representatives of various countries that are diplomats, but they're also furthering the cause of science, technology, and innovation for their countries. In many ways, they are really collaborators in, the ambassadors for the collaboration. And we have a number of them here today, and I'm going to try to engage every one of them. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to quickly read out names of everybody. Actually, it's here. I think I don't know if we're covering everybody in one slide. I think there are multiple slides. There are 2 slides. I'm going to go through it in a minute. And I'm going to go around the hall. I'm going to request mic runners. We're going to have 2 mic runners. Can we get mic runners ready? Can I see a show of hands? Who's going to run the mics? Show of hands, who's going to run the mics? Team? Padmaji and... Can I see a show of hands? Okay, raise your hands. Okay, good. So we have 2 mic runners. They're going to go around with those microphones, and we're going to go sequentially. And I'm going to ask them 3 questions. And they'll have a couple of minutes to just do an opening remark, and then we're going to go around for the second round, and the audience will have a chance to ask questions if we have time. The 3 questions are really going to be around what is the focus for their nation in terms of science and technology and innovation, and second, how do they see collaboration across different countries, theirs included, in addressing the biggest challenges that face us. A good example is the energy crisis that we're dealing with right now because of the conflict in Middle East, right? But there are other challenges like that, health crisis. There are a lot of crises that we're dealing with. So that's the second question. Third one, and that they can hold off on the third one until I come back to them, would be about what are the next steps? What are the specific next steps that we can take to work together and address these major problems? So I'm just going to take some of the names. I'm going to invite, first one would be Dr. Shrikar Reddy from India, but we have Dr. Shrikar Reddy here. We have Nathalie Delrue McGuire from Belgium. We have Omar Fain from Israel, and Tuan Huang from Vietnam, Barbara Pivnica from Slovakia, Abhishek Sharma, who's part of Indian Consul General's office, and then Son Pham, who's a consul from Vietnam, consul as well. We'll go to only the countries, and then hopefully the Consul Generals will represent, but where we don't have Consul General, the Consuls General will have the consul represent them. We have Cecilia Ekholm from Sweden, Isabella Thomas from Austria. Next slide. Paul Salver, who's a deputy CG from France. Richard Pivnica, who, if you're wondering, yes, he's the husband of Ms. Pivnica, Czech consulate. And Dmitro Kushnaruk from Ukraine, another consul from India, Mr. Shipal Reddy, We also have Consul General from Nepal, Lakshman Kanal, Marco Rodriguez from Mexico, Michael Smith from Ireland, Naoki Endo, who's representing Japanese Consul General, and last but not the least is Theo Peters from the Dutch Consulate. Can we do a round of applause for these amazing diplomats who have taken time from a busy day, busy evening, weekday evening to be here. I'm going to invite, actually, can we bring a microphone to Dr. Shrikar Reddy, please? He's going to kick it off. Dr. Reddy, if you could answer those, in opening remarks, what is the focus for India, and what are the key challenges? How do you see the key challenges being addressed in collaboration with other countries?
Good evening, namaskar. It is a great pleasure to join you all this evening for this timely Thrive conference, bringing together scientists, innovators, consul generals, entrepreneurs. I'd like to thank the team led by Anurag. Coming to the question, India is interested in promoting collaboration in the areas of critical and emerging technologies, which includes AI, quantum, semiconductors, biotechnology, and space, and also climate technologies. So just to give you an example, with collaboration with the US, under the Trust Initiative, which is transforming relationship utilizing strategic technology, both governments, institutions, and also private sector are collaborating in all these critical and emerging sectors. And India recently joined the PAC Silica initiative led by US, which is critical for the semiconductor supply chain. So, as you know, India recently hosted the AI Impact Summit, and the summit, which there was a participation from over 100 countries, from all stakeholders, including entrepreneurs, academia, civil society. And this summit has enabled human-centric AI to the focus. So this led to discussions around democratizing AI, and also Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he put forward the Manav framework, which is a human-centric AI governance model, which lays emphasis on ethics, inclusivity, national sovereignty and data, and also controls. As you know, a lot of misdeeds could happen because of the use of AI. So India, we have this AI for all model, we have this India AI mission. So we are trying to provide compute, data, and also we are promoting local small companies, especially startups, to come up with applications in the area of education, healthcare, agriculture, and governance, and also manufacturing, especially to cater to the socio-economic inclusive development. So in India, as you know, even some of the speakers like M.R. Rangaswami, India's Pura, he mentioned the digital public infrastructure of India, which is we have built a lot of digital platforms using our digital identity, Aadhaar. We have the mobile connectivity, and also we connected all the bank accounts. We created bank accounts for all the adults in India. So UPI, which is a United Payment Interface, now it is being accepted in 8 countries, including 4 developing countries of UAE, Qatar, Singapore, and France. And 20 countries have come forward and entered into agreements with India for collaboration in this digital public infrastructure. So I think India would like to share its experiences in using digital tools for population. As you know, India population it is for 1.4 billion. So we have a lot of digital platforms which are improving the access for public services, like over 2,000 public services of state and central governments are now delivered digitally. And we also enabled and empowered rural communities, farmers, and also SMEs to connect with the markets. So by using digital tools. And digital public infrastructure is also promoting innovation. And over that, now we are trying to use AI tools to build applications. As you know, a lot of AI companies from the Bay Area, they participate in the summit. And we have very good collaborations, for example, between OpenAI and TCS, Anthropic and Infosys. So we would like to enhance this collaboration between the Bay Area and India, especially in artificial intelligence, because we would like to find applications relevant for all the socio-economic development, healthcare, education, and agriculture. And we would also like to share our expertise with other countries in the developing South. So that is my opening comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. You know, AI with India with its 1.4 billion population, tremendous technical talent, could be use case capital of the world in some ways. And I think that's what Dr. Reddy briefly talked about. I'm going to invite Nathalie Delroux-Macquarie from Belgium to share her thoughts. Microphone right there. And you can, if you could turn towards the camera so camera can record your comments would be great. Yeah, those of you who want to come up here for the light, that's okay, but otherwise, yeah. I didn't want all of you to have to come here. That would be a long walk here. That's why I'm just minimizing that. Please. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to meet everybody, and thanks for organizing this very important summit and conference. I think that the world needs more interdisciplinary conversations around AI, healthcare, national security, and all of that intersect. So maybe I'll start by saying a few things about how the Belgian diplomatic organization operates in the Bay Area. So I'm Honorary Consul of Belgium, so I'm not a career diplomat. I have lived here for about 20 years, and I became appointed as Honorary Consul in 2013 by the King of Belgium, who is the head of state. So in terms of trade and investment, Belgium's trade and investment economic diplomacy is organized by regions. So actually in the Bay Area, we have 3 trade and investment offices, so one for Brussels, one for Flanders, and one for Wallonia, which are the 3 administrative regions of Brussels. So all of them are very active in academic and scientific cooperation, because diplomacy in the Bay Area really means tech diplomacy, and a big component is the cooperation between our entrepreneurial universities and Stanford, Berkeley, but also the national labs. So we are actually a much larger team than we look like. We are a very small country. So in my role here, I'm in the consular corps, like my other colleagues, who will address you tonight. And so we cooperate as consular corps. And then, we also cooperate with, the various layers of government, in the United States, local government, state government, national government. Belgium welcomed a delegation of 550 people last October, so we do several royal visits per year. So we have a member of our royal family traveling with, for example, our Secretary of Defense and the CEOs of large companies. I mean, in this case, we were very focused on defense because, of the geopolitical challenges that everybody, has to solve right now everywhere. In terms of AI, so of course, like Belgium is at the heart of the EU, the Washington DC of the EU in some ways. So of course, Belgium, supported the, European legislations like the AI Act, of course implements it and promotes it in their conversations with their counterparts in the United States. And I think I can say that it's a great collaboration. For example, the chair of the President's Scientific Council has been meeting at our embassy, has been involved in the delegation I was mentioning. And so it's not a polarized discussion. It's actually a discussion where people sit at the same table and try to understand where everybody is coming from. So it's not a political decision. It's a very complex problem to solve. And I commend India on addressing this problem and trying to promote more than just guidelines, but solutions that all countries can agree to maintain humanity and that kind of thing. And so personally, I'm very involved in the topic because I actually do doctoral research on the impact of AI regulatory uncertainty on venture capital early stage investments. I've also looked at the problem of national security. So back in 2022, I researched the use of AI drone swarms in special operations that I had to present to Harvard and the DoD. And of course, with my research, I also, try to be a resource to the Belgian government, but also to, to the local, U.S. policymakers, and when we exchange perspective. And we have a very large Consulate General of Belgium in Los Angeles, which, like my colleagues who are Consul Generals here, also represent Belgium in 15 states, so in the western of the United States. So they travel here very often as well, and we have our ambassador coming as well. And we participate in the, in the sessions organized by the tech companies, public affairs departments, government relations. So I think the dialogue is really important, but the dialogue is happening, between civil society, government, and business. And I think we need to do more of that. So I hope that answered your questions. I didn't address healthcare, but we can continue the conversation.
No worries.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to switch the questions a little bit just to kind of keep this interesting and exciting. Is Omar Fain in the audience from Israel? To see if kind of I think he couldn't make it today. But Antoine Hong from Vietnam. There you go. Please bring the microphone to him. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to switch the question a little bit. We just heard about a lot of work that the consulates do in engaging with various states and entities within the states. As you think about science and technology community, how do you see Vietnam sort of engaging with not just the US, but other countries? I know you're representing Vietnam in the US, but what about engagement of Vietnam with the rest of the world, US included?
Well, thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to thank you and the organizers for organizing this event. And I would like to share our thoughts with CEOs, professors, entrepreneurs, VC managers. I would like to say, to borrow the words from Jensen Huang. I arranged the meetings for Jensen Huang with our Prime Minister when our Prime Minister visited Silicon Valley. And 1 year after the visit, after the meeting with our Prime Minister, Jensen Huang came to Vietnam with me. And he shared with me, he said, Tuấn, you know why? Why we invested, and we set up an AI research center in Vietnam. And at the time, by the end of 2024, that was the third NVIDIA R&D research center all over the world, one in Santa Clara, one in Taipei, and the third one in Vietnam. He said, a couple of reasons. One is that, we have a population. The population, that is increasing. So comparing to the other countries, whose population is decreasing. So that is a value. That is one thing. The second thing is about the expansion of the middle class, and it is expanding very fast, and it has expanded based on the high economic growth rate. So we had achieved, the average 6% economic growth rate, for almost 35 years, starting, almost 40 years, starting from 1986, even up to now. And last year, we had the economic growth rate of 8%. And the new government has set up a very ambitious goal of the 2-digit economic growth rate for the next 5 years, from now until 2030. And a third reason is that, he said, people in Vietnam, they are very good at tech, so they adjusted, to using, the tech tools, very quickly, and also STEM-based. So comparing, to other countries in Southeast Asia, and the young kids in Vietnam, they learn STEMs at the young age, and they attended, competitions, math STEMs, and they always, be in the top 5. And another reason is that, Vietnam, although a developing country, but we have, several tech multinational companies, like Viettel, that is, telecommunication company that has 400 million customers worldwide. So that is the reason. So I think, that explains why, Jensen Huang invested in Vietnam. So if you come to Vietnam, and you can see that, all the major tech companies, whether they are in Silicon Valley, in the West Coast, in Japan, Korea, Australia, they have all their presence in Vietnam. So we can say that, we have built, the tech ecosystem, in Vietnam that is already there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Consul. Thank you so much. This actually, Consul General's remarks about Vietnam's capacity and role. I mean, Vietnam has been a success story, and it's still an LMIC country, but the journey has been amazing. It actually, how many of you feel hopeful about the world based on hearing the stories that you have heard so far? Show of hands? Absolutely. I think there are challenges, but I think there is a substrate on which we can build upon. I'm going to invite Barbara Pivnica, I think that's how we pronounce it, who's Consul General for Slovakian Consulate. Barbara, yours is a young country, it's a small country, but there is a history of innovation and science. But the world is changing. How do you see the role of your country in the context of where we are going with these different fields?
Thank you. First, I think we should all give you a round of applause. He's doing all the heavy lifting up here. Slovakia is a very small country. It's only 5 million people. But I know that most of you have a country story that you can tell. Slovakia is interesting. We just had the ambassador here, and of course, he's fascinated about AI and wants to, like all our countries, wants to do it there, right? Isn't that what you hear at home? That we want to translate this. It doesn't translate very well. I think all of us know that. So one of the things that we did recently during this visit, and I'd like to pass it along to you because it worked or is in the process of working for this small nation, so you may incorporate some of these for your own use. When the ambassador visited, we visited with OpenAI, and we analyzed the strengths of Slovakia, and it's small, 5 million people, but what it's known for is per capita, it produces more automobiles than almost anywhere in the world. So we don't need to build more cars. What we need to do is focus on what Slovakia is really good at, which is supply chain. So why don't we work on supply chain? So one of the things that emerged from this is we are working on a program with OpenAI called the Factory Nation. And I think this will be an interesting project. It may come to nothing. It may be a startup, a flat startup, but it's across the board, interesting for the government, for industry, and for the current businesses who are in Slovakia now. So I hope that all of us have great success with this. I'm sure that we will. It probably won't be what we think it is today.
Thank you, Barbara. That's well said. I 100% agree. When I moved to this country 32 years back, I didn't anticipate the kinds of technological evolutions that were going to change the work that I do. Completely agree that there's future is yet to be invented, and many say, right? I'm going to switch to Vietnam. Actually, we already had the Vietnam Consul General speak, so I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go to Swedish Consul General Cecilia Ekholm. Where are you, Cecilia? Oh, there you are. Thank you. Again, I'm just a little flavor on that question. Sweden has a pretty unique role to play in European economy. Science has always been a part of it. You know, you give awards. A little award that we all value so much. Where do you go from in the current setup, current situation? You know, the kinds of problems that we're dealing in global settings. What role does Sweden play in that? What capacity you bring, and what capacity do you receive, actually?
Thank you, and thank you for this wonderful, I do love the setup of this, where we're actually mixing a lot of different people with different backgrounds, and we get to pretend that we know what we're talking about while we have the experts in the room, right? You mentioned a small prize. Now, can I start? Because Sweden is a very small country, and basically we speak a language that almost no one else speaks, which means that going international is something that we've done from the very start. And that little prize, the Nobel Prize, I would like to go back about 125 years, because it was actually this year 125 years since the first Nobel Prize was awarded in 1901. And yes, it's a great prize, but do you know what the really revolutionary thing about it was? It was the fact that it was the first prize that was awarded to the most deserving person, irrespective of nationality. Yep. And this was way before the League of Nations or the United Nations. The League of Nations was not founded until 1920. So in 1901, that was quite the revolution. And I think that is also something that we keep in our DNA. We do like international collaboration. We need international collaboration. With a market of 10 million people, you know, you're never going to get the scientific breakthroughs that you need. So collaboration is something that we really like. I would like to lift another couple of things that I think are really important. That's trust and transparency. So trust in a society is very important, so people can thrive and be secure that you can make mistakes, or you can start things that might not come to fruition, but you know that you're not going to starve on the street anyways. Free schooling. The fact that every child has access to school up to university level, cost-free, is also something that has been very important for our development. And we did have a big industrial development with the large companies that many people recognize today, such as Volvo or Ericsson, AstraZeneca, ABB, big companies. You had the second wave with Minecraft, Spotify, Skype, which is almost no more, but now we're getting the third. We're getting our third wave with the new AI natives, so the big, the startups that are coming. So looking at priorities, of course, you know, new technologies is what we're all about. This is why we're here. AI is really important. We recently adopted a national AI strategy, our first. So we're hoping this is something that is going to, I think, affect everyone. Another really important issue is going to be energy. We started already in the 1990s looking at fossil-free energy, and today I think we have about 98% fossil-free energy in Sweden. But that's not going to be enough, because we know that a lot of energy is going to be required in this new intelligent economy. For example, if you want to make fossil-free steel, which we are trying to do, it's extremely energy intensive. So looking into how, you know, what kind of energy sources that we can use. We've heard about fusion here. It sounds wonderful, and really, fingers crossed, very optimistic. But there is a lot of research going into that. And lastly, just to say a few words of collaboration as an example. I have my Norwegian colleague here. Hi, Kirsten. And we do a lot of Nordic collaboration. So, you know, you start with your closest neighbors. And the Nordics have, I mean, together we are stronger. We know that we are all small countries. We share a lot of heritage and a lot of history. And here we are together in something called Nordic Innovation House. So out here in Palo Alto, the Nordic countries, we just chipped in together, started the Nordic Innovation House, where our innovation authorities, and we also have the universities, and we have startups, are all coming together. And that is a great way to reach a larger audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If there was a case to be made effectively about value of collaboration, Cecilia just made it. The kinds of companies that have come out of Sweden, such a small country, and the sustained growth that they have had is in part to this openness to collaboration and innovation that they've exhibited, and a lot of ideas that have come from other places. Actually, I just realized that I don't have on my list Norway listed. May I request you to please stand up and go next? I'm so sorry. I don't know, that was a miss on our part. Can we bring the microphone to, and you maybe can introduce yourself and then talk. So, you are a neighbor, and is your story the same as Sweden, or are you looking for something? Is there a differentiated product that Norway represents?
Thank you. My name is Kirsten, Consul General of Norway. I was thinking as I was sitting there listening to Cecilia that I could almost copy completely word for word what she was saying, except for one thing, the big companies. We have a few, and we are even less people. We're 5.6 million, so definitely we do not have a big market. But I've also been discussing at my table the issue of trust, the issue of trying to envisage what we want to build, what kind of societies we want to build with AI and what is going on in technology. And that's where I think actually both Norway and the other Nordic countries can contribute. We have a well-functioning welfare society. We are few people. We have good data. For instance, in the health area, health sector, we really have good data on our populations, and we are used to sharing data, again, based on trust. And we also have, I think, good collaboration between private actors, between our trade unions, and between actors such as our governments, basically, which is also, I think, in this rather polarized time, an asset. And we're going to make the most of it. But basically, I'm here to learn, and I think a lot of our companies, which are mainly not very big companies, are also here to learn. We have some leading edge in certain sectors, such as energy, such as green maritime, but we are really here to learn. And I'm also very grateful for being part of this tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We're grateful for you to be here. And what I really liked amongst the comments that you made is that you are discussing at your table. This is exactly the point of it. Creating those synapses, those opportunities for engagement, and together potentially finding ways of solving things that we otherwise could not. Thank you. So I'm gonna move to the next country on my list here. I'm going to invite Isabella Tomas from Austria. Is Isabella? Oh, there she is. Thank you. Isabella, the same question for you, with just one twist there. Austria is known for, arts and culture and music. Where does science, and I know, of course, it has had a history of scientists that have done remarkable work in the past. Do you see Austria changing in the post-AI world? One comment that we heard from our Norwegian colleague was that, there's a strong social security net. In the post-AI society, when the jobs are going to be taken away, I heard a company just recently had tens of thousands of people laid off, if I heard the number correctly, one of the large tech companies. Is that, where does Austria go from where we are today in the post-AI world?
That is a very big question.
Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
But it's,
I know you can do it.
but it's definitely a pertinent question because much like my Swedish and Norwegian colleagues, I could confirm that Austria also has a very strong social net and strong labor market rules. Other than this country here and some others, we have very strong unions too. And yes, the fear of AI taking away jobs is definitely present. So far, I think it is being numbed down a little bit because our, people in general, I would say we're all a little risk averse and maybe Austrians more than others. So we're trying to take it slow. We definitely are people that like science and research. And as you said, we have thankfully some very prominent representatives. In the last 5 years, we had 2 of the very nice prizes being awarded in Stockholm in physics, and then throughout our history, a couple more. But we see ourselves usually as niche champions. This is true in economics and also in science. Not so much on a big, huge scale. Of course, I would usually here in the US, I would always say we are a very small country. We have more inhabitants than Sweden and Norway, so now I'm kind of losing my line here. but we're still small, and maybe to circle back to the previous questions, there is no way that a country like ours, even though we are a member of the European Union, could do anything alone without international cooperation. That completely goes without saying. And then if you look at our history, if I also want to go 125 years back, we used to be a monarchy and had what today would be 17 different countries as parts of what our little empire was. And I think that has really also done a lot to our mentality and to how we see cooperation with our neighbors, although they don't all speak the same language. This is also a very European thing. We're completely fine with that. We speak other languages and we encourage everyone to learn them, AI or not. But on a more serious level, the AI taking away the jobs, yes, that's a fear. And I think what my government is trying to do, let's see if it succeeds, is to invest a lot in AI education. So to take fear of the way from the people and making them understand that AI is not there to take your job, but actually to empower you to do your job better. So, but that's of course, remains to be seen how well this will work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Isabella. Well said. You know, what's interesting about Europe is, I did my postdoc in Europe and I would visit different countries within, I love traveling. So I would see how the communities were so self-sufficient in many ways, even though there were some centralized processes and schemes and like social safety net, but there's a lot of local community building. And for a country like India, where I grew up, I'm starting to see that happen, more empowerment of local communities. And yet, that collaboration
has had a $325 million judgment against it in connection with AI and stress on young people, and there's 2,000 other lawsuits pending. Well, there's a company in the Czech Republic that just visited me called Elin, E-L-I-N. That's the CEO's daughter's name. Elin AI. They have developed an agent, an AI agent, that in real time will work with the young people's phone and track them and neutralize any harm that's being delivered in the social media in real time. And my job, so to speak, is to try to help make that a success. And I hope that any of you here have an interest in this.
I love
that. Join me.
Business development in chief, right there. That's wonderful. That's very well done. Thank you so much. As a father of 3 kids, I totally see the value of a solution like that. Thank you so much. I'm going to invite Dmytro Kushneruk, our Ukrainian Consul General. Ukraine is going through a major conflict that's made life quite difficult for it, but it does have a long history of innovation and training. A lot of Indian students actually study there. How does Ukraine emerge from that conflict, and how does it engage with the rest of the world? And we are really talking about science, technology, and innovation right now. And I know defense is one part of it, but there are other elements of it that Ukraine has always been involved in.
Yeah, thanks for that. Though, I have some points which I wanted just to mention, absolutely in connection with what you mentioned. So for us, using AI is not just something like we want to do, it's kind of what we need to do. It's basically for us, the use of that is not just intentional, it's existential. And Ukraine is a country at war, but also we are innovating every day in these extreme conditions. And on AI, we are witnessing something important. It's not just productivity, it's also national resilience tool. And yes, of course, defense tech is number one. In a battlefield decision-making, in autonomous machines like drones and ground drones and intelligence analysis, but it's only part of the story. In Ukraine, we use AI in cyber defense, reconstruction and planning, and in public, and in the government services very much because this was needed, especially in the first days of the war. Of course, also in on global health, I want to mention some of the points. So, healthcare system, we understood, must be shock-proof, shock resistance, and we're dealing with, of course, destroyed hospitals and mass trauma and long-term rehabilitation needs and mental health challenges, and this is where collaboration really matters. And Ukraine is not just a recipient of that, but is becoming really testing ground for scalable, resilient healthcare solutions for all the world, including telemedicine, AI, diagnostics, and rapid deployment models, and there is opportunity to co-develop systems that will work for all the world. And on sustainability, I want to mention the point that we're undertaking currently in Ukraine, and will be one of the largest reconstructions processes in the world, probably in the modern history. And we are not just rebuilding the past, we try to build the future in an absolutely new, innovative way. And of course, we do that with the energy systems, which has to be decentralized and not relying on just one central system because it's becoming not proof enough in the war. And of course, the infrastructures that should be smart and efficient, and the cities that must be integrated digital environment and human-centered approach. And Ukraine is offering partnership for everybody for all the countries in the world. And if we connect Silicon Valley innovation, all the other countries' innovation, together with global capital and our real need, urgency, and talent, we can solve the problems which all the world needs. And last, I want to say that the crisis currently in the world is not just something which happens occasionally. It's probably inevitable and will be happening in the future. And if we cooperate together, at least the democratic countries, so to say, against the dictatorship, then we can succeed in AI, in all technology and innovation together.
I have to commend Dmytro for being an optimist, seeing the glass half full, and leaving with that message for all of us. I'm inspired, actually. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have just the last few consuls general left for their comments, but I have to tell you, this is one of the best summaries of global context to science, technology, and innovation collaboration in these areas that I've been part of. I'm listening to it, and I'm taking lots of mental notes. In biodesign at Stanford, we call it needs finding. So this is a great, we have a recording of it, so we will have it available for all of us, and hopefully this becomes a substrate for the discussion, roundtable discussions tomorrow. I'm going to invite Lakshman Kanal, who is the Consul General of Nepal. Is he here in the audience? Okay, he couldn't make it today. Let's invite Marco Rodriguez from Mexico. Marco. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Marco. I'm the Consul General of Mexico. Thank you very much for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to learn from all of you. Mexico has a very good relationship with all the world, But in the case of the United States, we have a very special relationship. As you know, this year is the year of the review of the USMCA together with Canada. The dialogue is going on very well, and we're committed to the success of the USMCA. We're confident that we're going to have a very good agreement to foster the region, Mexico, US, and Canada. And the USMCA entails many of the subjects of this conference, especially the approach to AI. And in the case of Mexico, Madam President Sheinbaum has created 2 institutions in relation to this subject. One of them is the Agency of Digital Transformation, which is in charge of the digital agenda of the Mexican government in order to streamline the government work through the new AI capabilities. And also, she elevated to a ministerial level an office to foster innovation, the Ministry for Science, Humanities, Technology, and Innovation. Those are not agencies to regulate, but to foster and promote innovation. Again, thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. I really appreciate it. You know, U.S. has had a very strong collaboration with Mexico. Mexico has also been a big part of a global community in the work that it has done, and that future looks very bright. We just lost three Consul General. Matthieu Smith from Ireland. Do we have him in the audience today? I think he might have not been able to make it. Naoki Endo, who's a consul at Japanese consulate. Naoki? Hi, Naoki. Good to see you. Naoki-san is been a key partner for us at Stanford, with Stanford Japan Biodesign. Thank you so much. Yes, Naoki, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Naoki from the Consul Generals of Japan, San Francisco. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful event. I just quickly mentioned how Japan tried to using the AI to adapt in the society. As you know, Japan is, looks like a very harmonious society. And so we just thinking about how AI in adaptation to the society itself with harmonize with the human beings. And so that now our government try to improve the human ability to educate the graduate student and the workers to change their skills to adapt it to the AI era. And so that we provide more the effort to how to collaborate with the AI itself and the human being itself. Thank you for my.
Well, thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure partnering with Japan on biodesign. Thank you. Last word goes to Theo Peters, but not the last word. Not the least word. Theo, please. And I was sharing with him the story of my postdoc in Netherlands and how I used to wear Anurag on a bike from Enschede to Twente campus, which is about 9 miles. And so lovely memory of memories of Netherlands near Krosch Brewery there, which doesn't exist anymore. But back to you.
Thank you very much, Anurag. And I will not forget your name anymore, because you told me you would have to wear an Anurag very often to bike to school there because of the rain in my country. Yep. So thank you very much for inviting me and for having us here. You know, I was afraid that all of you would have to wait with dessert until I had spoken. Well, in the meantime, I think we're already way beyond dessert. And at the same time, I'm very happy you didn't invite the whole United Nations, because then we would have been here for a long night. So also thank you very much to the audience for you being so patient and even staying beyond dessert. So thank you very much for that. And you really, I mean, the lady on my left really, complimented your skills as a moderator, Anurag, because you really keep us on our toes. We don't know what question we're getting until we get here, so it feels a little bit like cold calling in grad school again. But anyhow, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
The Netherlands, I will repeat what many said before. It's a small country in the northwest of Europe. We at the consulate, we cover the 13 westernmost states of the US, which is about 116 times my country. That gives you an idea. We are, yes, what should I say? Technology is very important to us. You probably all know this small startup company called ASML in the Netherlands that plays quite an important role in the whole semicon industry. But it's not only semicon. We have a national technology strategy where we define the things that we would like to concentrate on, and you see that reflected also in the priorities that we have as a consulate here in San Francisco. So first and foremost for us, the future of compute is number one. And for us, that is semicon, but there's also AI, it is photonics, quantum, and also cyber. And not only security, but also the technology of cyber. Then a second cluster would be life sciences and health, especially biomed and medtech. And the third one would be advanced manufacturing. So those would be the three priorities that you would see reflected in our work that also come out of our national technology strategy. So apart from that, you might know that we are a small country, but nevertheless we are the #2 agricultural exporter in the world. And that for a country of our size, of course, is quite remarkable. And that says also something about the technology that we have in agri-tech. So I think that will be another strong point of ours. But I will stop bragging there, and thank you very much for your hospitality, Anurag, and we look forward to the meetings tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Theo. Really appreciate it. I know we are way past our 8:30 time. It actually is only 5 minutes past, so it's not that way past. And I'm glad that dessert is already being served. There's a question that I want to frame. We don't have to answer it today. If somebody wants to raise their hand and make a comment about what they heard. You know, there are 8 billion people in the world. 3 billion live in what often is called global north. 5 are in global south. The gap between what we experience and what we have access to here and what many of the countries that are represented here today have versus those that are in that 5 billion population is great. It's shrinking, but it's great. And we have at least a few decades before we get to a point where that gap is diminished to an extent where we have a more sort of even world, if you will. My question to you all, as you think about those 3 areas, AI, global health, and sustainability. And there's a reason why those 3 were chosen. We could have chosen 10 different topics, but we chose those 3 topics for a very, very specific reason. I want you all to think about it and come tomorrow with some clear thoughts about what would it take for us to accelerate our journey from where we are today, where we have this gap, to a world where we are all together. Maybe not this, actually like this, right? So do think about it. You know, we're talking about jobs changing, maybe jobs being taken away from some, other jobs being created. You know, I was at an AI summit in India that Dr. Shikhar Reddy talked about, and I was giving I was part of a keynote session, and focus was on employability and AI. And I talked about how in healthcare, 10 million new jobs can be created in India. My parents are in their 80s. My dad is 90, actually 90 plus. And there's a healthcare assistant at home who uses AI tool to support them, right? I mean, this is a person who's got not that much of an education. She's 6th grade or 7th grade, but she can use AI to actually look at my, reactions to medicines and things like that. It's really been a game changer for us and for her. And there are a lot of those jobs that can be created. But what does it mean for jobs here, right? So I would love for you all to think about that challenge of how do we take the world to the next level, whatever that next level looks like. First of all, what does it look like? Hopefully more equitable, more growth, more well-being for all of us, but how do we also sort of accelerate that, shift that to a little bit to the left? That's a question that I'm going to put forward as a prompt. Please have your dessert, and if anybody really wants to make a comment or ask a question to any of the Consuls General who've been so generous in giving their time, really, really appreciate it. It's been great. Sorry? Yeah, we will do a picture of all the Consuls General. We'll have you all come up, and then we will do a thank you. Can we invite all the Consuls General up to the right here? Sorry, yeah, and the consuls, all the diplomats, please come up here for the yeoman's work that you all do for your nation. Please come on up. You want here? Thank you, please.
Ladies in the middle.
At least this time it's plural, right? Big man in the back. That's because songs
Perfect. Yeah.
Actually, can you all stay here, please? Because we would like everybody to come. This is a rare gathering of some top minds. Can we invite everybody for a picture here, please? 2 levels. Some will be standing on the ground here. Please come on up. Yeah, all of you. May I invite all of you for a picture? I know. Yeah, everybody here. Right here, on here. Please come up and join. Please.
Hello.
Hear you.
I got someone from outside they'll take a photo.
Yeah. No, we have cameraman, we have photographer, yeah.
Where are you going?
New York.
Hi. Yeah, I don't think anyone's strength tested that it's actually going to go.
Are you able to see us?
आइए उनके सामने आ जाएंगे
Yes. Thank you.
I did.
Great, thank you so much.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Before you go, my wife's yours, right? So please eat something.
Yashodhan ji, can I invite you? Dr. Yashodhan Agalgaonkar. I would like the last part of today is the customary vote of thanks. I'm going to invite Dr. Yashodhan Agalgaonkar. Okay.
सगळ्यांना सेटल होऊ दे नाही कारण बेसिकली काय व्हॉलेंटियर्सचं नाव घेणार आहे त्यामुळे एवढी
May I request you all to just take your seat just for 2 minutes, because we do have special recognitions. Just please take I know their desserts are served. Please have your dessert. We'll take 2 more minutes for vote of thanks, and then we are free to mingle. Please, maybe all sit down. Thank you.
Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me just for a minute. I know everybody is eager to go home after the desserts, but we just would like to do one really important thing, and that is to express word of thanks, right? So please settle down just for 2 minutes. It will be good for you to know the people behind this program who have been working days and months to bring this together. So I request everybody to please settle down for a minute. So, yeah, thank you very much. So basically, as you can imagine, like when we decided about this particular program about technology and governance and technology policy, but when we decided to root it in civilization and ethics, we were first having some challenges finding the donors. But there were some visionary ones, and I would like to tell you their names. So please give a big round of applause for them. So Palo Alto Networks. Is there somebody from Palo Alto Networks in the crowd? Is there someone from Palo Alto Networks? So Palo Alto Networks, then of course we would like to thank Raju Reddy and Vinita Reddy Foundation. One of our big supporters was Global Indian Scientist and Technocrat Association. Dinsha Mistry, who is busy chatting with someone through one of the projects, gave a bit of a support. Thank you very much, Dinsha. From Hoover Institution. Also, I would like to thank Monta Vista Capital. I don't know whether Monta Vista Capital is there. Yes, thank you very much. Such a huge event, and you must have been interacting with a lot of volunteers. They were arranging your travel, they were arranging your logistics. So I must thank Raj Shekhar Kuppa. Is he in the crowd? Raj Kuppa. So he has been arranging your travel diligently for past, 3 to 4 months. Please, big round of applause. All these volunteers, they have not slept for last 3 days, so please give them big round of applause. Then Parag Joshi. Parag Joshi. Volunteers, everybody want to go home, so please come quickly forward. So if you see the website, he's the man behind it, along with Professor James, who has been giving all the guidance. Then I would like to thank also Apurva Maddi, who has been acting as a conference secretary. Many of you have interacted with her. Lavitra Dheer. So he is arranging your travel diligently. Then Dr. Megha Agarwal, she came from also Luxembourg. She's taking the video now. So, and also Padma, who worked on also graphics. Omkar Deshpande, who has worked really hard on creating all the structure and administrative processes for the conference. Also, I would like to thank Praniti Sancheti, who has been working on social media. Pranali Sancheti. Also, Dr. Vineet Joshi, who has been helping with some of the thematic issues of the conference. And multiple international students of Professor Anurag Mairal. Am I missing someone? Upasna, please. Please. So, as Professor Mairal will explain you afterwards for a minute, when we were structuring this particular conference, we always thought of having white papers. So up till now, we will write them in collaboration with multiple international organizations. But I would like to recognize a couple of them. Is Ben Olsen here, AI and Faith? So Ben has kindly agreed to co-author one of the white papers. So also, Jonathan Granhoff, whether he's in the house? Yes, so he has agreed to co-author one of the white papers. So thank you very much to everybody. Because of their collaboration, we could do this particular conference. So, yeah.
I would like to quickly mention our organizing team that has put a lot of effort in. Professor James Ehrlich, Dinsha Mistry from Hoover Institution, from CCARE. There's one gentleman who's not here, Dr. Jagjit Nanda, who actually fell sick. He had a major surgery, unexpected surgery on Monday. He is recovering well. And we just want to thank him in his absence. Let me just do tomorrow's very quickly agenda. If you can switch the slide, and then we'll call it a night. Can we switch the slide to the next one? There you go. So tomorrow is a working session. You know, today was fun. We had wonderful wine. There's more wine if you want. But tomorrow, please come prepared with your brains and your willingness to engage with these problems. That's going to be the agenda. There are 5 panel sessions, keynote panel sessions, but a key highlight of the day are the roundtables. You all are engaged in those roundtables. There are some of you are co-leads for them, some of you are facilitators for them, some of you are contributors to it. And as Dr. Yashodhan mentioned, there's going to be white papers coming out of these. These are going to be the products from the work that we do, and they'll be published in the coming weeks and months, in some cases in partnership with your institutions or your consulates or your corporations. The idea is to take this conversation and turn that into a real plan of action, and hopefully we can act upon it. Next year when we gather again, we will share the outcomes from that exercise. So that's really the point of it. Again, thank you, all of you, for being here, and good night. Those of you who are staying at the hotel, the conference hotel, the shuttles are waiting here downstairs. Please gather downstairs in the lobby area, and then we'll all head to the hotel together. Thank you.